Mental health is one of the most common important factors in a person's general health. It refers to a person's emotional well-being and psychological factor of a person. We're here to talk about different reasons why mental health is important and why we need to raise awareness of it in the Philippines. First off, we will share the different effects of proper and improper mental health and its effects towards ordinary people. First, for the advantages. Proper care for mental health can improve self-confidence, prevent cognitive decline, and can reduce anxiety. It can also give us a stronger motivation to commit to our tasks and goals. These are just some examples of having good mental health. Improper healthcare, however, can be caused by multiple stressors, and the advantages of having bad mental health can include overall physical, emotional, and social problems. This is caused by the lack of exercise and overall stress that can lead to reduced performance. There are many ways to prevent having bad mental health, and one of them is that you should have proper exercise, eating healthy diets, and to reduce the stress to a minimal level. In the Philippines, mental health is often considered as an outlandish topic, and oftentimes it is considered as something of minimal concern. Filipinos tend to focus only on the surface of the things. Same goes for when they interact with people. They only see what's happening externally and fail to see how the person is doing mentally. Another stigma on mental health in the Philippines is that a person who gets his or her mental health checked, whether by choice or requirement, is automatically labeled crazy. These kinds of stigmas are a detriment to those with mental health problems, because it hinders them from having the freedom to get checked up by a professional without being subject to prejudice by their own fellow countrymen. And those who are mentally ill, be it autistic or depressed, are being considered outcasts from society, which makes Filipino support system for the mentally ill one of the worst. With this problem, one can analyze this with the different sociological perspectives in order to see how this affects society and how society sees this problem. As defined by Barkan in his book, A Primer in Social Problems, health consists of a person's physical, mental, and social well-being. As such, it is safe to include the problem of mental health into the different approaches that will be discussed. With this in mind, we first examine using the functionalist approach. The functionalist perspective examines society as an interconnected network with each institute supporting and making each other work. As for health, their approach emphasizes on the role of both the sick and the medical personnel. Talcott Parsons described good health and medical care as a necessity in maintaining the functioning of a society. An ill person would prevent one to perform their role in society, and too much sick leave would bring the stability of the society to fall. Parsons coined the term the sick role, where a person is considered sick if he or she has not caused his or her own illness. The sickly desires to be cured, and the illness of the sickly is confirmed by legitimate medical personnel. When he or she is confirmed to be sick, they would then be excused from their obligations for society. As for the role of the medical personnel, he or she must diagnose the patient, decide how to treat the illness, and look after the well-being of the patient. Cooperation between the patient and the medical personnel is needed to accomplish the role of the physician, and to properly treat the patient so that they may return to their obligations to society. Next would be to analyze the situation through the conflict perspective. Since the conflict approach focuses on the conflicts and flaws of the nature of society, its take on health emphasizes the inequality experienced in providing healthcare. As described by Rose Waits, the different racial, ethnic, and gender inequalities are also seen in the quality of healthcare provided. The approach also criticizes the role of the medical personnel, claiming that they satisfy their motives for financial gain by diagnosing non-medical problems as medical illnesses. One example of this used in the book relates to mental health, as it talks about the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. The approach criticizes how more and more hyperactive children are being diagnosed with a mental disorder when it is possible that they are just hyperactive. The view of the role of the medical personnel may be considered cynical, Yet it is not wrong for it to state that there is some truth in its emphasis on equality in healthcare. Finally, one can analyze the problem based on the interactionist perspective, which focuses on the different interactions and symbols used in everyday life. Its take on health emphasizes on health and illnesses being social constructs, and the interactions between the patient and the doctor. Andrew Boxer describes that one is considered healthy or ill only if society defines it as such. Using the previous ADHD example, one can see society's view on hyperactive children as just being hyperactive evolve into the view of them being diagnosed with ADHD. As for the interactions of the patient and the doctor, the approach describes how the doctor's will to treat and cure patients is to show off their authority and medical background. This can be seen in the simple interactions of the doctor and the patient, such as the doctor being addressed as a doctor, doctors using advanced terms to describe illnesses to the patient instead of much more simpler terms, and patients usually having to wait for the doctors to arrive. Even though the perspective focuses on health in general, it is possible to pinpoint similarities between the different approaches and the observations of stigmas and views on the mental health found in the Philippines. Such parallelisms include the similar stigma of Filipinos against mental health with the criticisms of the conflict approach towards ADHD, wherein the diagnosis of a hyperactive child with the ADHD becomes questionable. Another similar view that the Philippines has is with the interactionist approach, where it is society that determines whether someone is considered ill or not. Similarly, in the Philippines, society sometimes ignores serious mental illnesses such as depression and instead calls it being overreacting or laziness. One aspect that might have caused this stigma is the hardworking and optimistic nature of the people. Due to Filipinos being known to rise up from every situation or laugh through most problems, any negativity experienced by the mentally ill might just be shrugged off as something that can be laughed through in order to be able to spread awareness about mental health. We can look at some of the examples from our own campus, DLSU, and its programs concerning mental health. Students seem to have taken notice of the importance of mental health based on simple programs such as the multiple posters regarding seeking mental help when needed and creating the Mental Health Awareness Week program. Similarly, such programs of awareness can be implemented to the Philippines as a way of breaking the stigma and the fear of being judged due to having a mental illness. This can be further supported with the current growing awareness of the Senate Bill 2450, or the Mental Health Bill being proposed by the government. The purpose of this bill is to promote further mental health awareness in the country and amongst its citizens, and improve the mental health services and personnel needed by mental health institutes. So why is it important to be aware of mental health? When we have awareness on mental health, not only will we be able to gain a wider perspective of things, it also enables us to help ourselves and those around us. Through our awareness of mental health, we can evaluate our own mental condition and determine whether or not something we are mentally going through is normal or not. Same goes for other people. We can help them by lending an ear to them and telling them that going to a psychologist or a psychiatrist doesn't necessarily mean they are crazy, and may even make their lives better in the long run.